Today I want to share with you what I think is the ultimate defensive move that you need to have down if you're thinking of competing, or even if you're somebody who just wants to be more successful while sparring in the gym. Alright, anybody who's been on this channel fairly frequently has probably heard me mention about how I think most gyms lack defense. They don't do enough defensive training. Now there's so many different forms of defense that we can take. We can work on blocking, we can work on head movement, we can get our feet going. There's just so many elements. But what I want to talk with you about today is one of the easiest ways to make sure you don't get hit either when you're being defensive or when you're being offensive. And it's a move that you will see very often in boxing and even in MMA, but not so much in Muay Thai or kickboxing. And step by step, I'm going to take you guys through being able to execute the technique properly and then how to drill it and actually be able to utilize it in sparring. Because it's one thing to be able to throw a punch, technically correct, but it's another thing to be able to land a punch with the proper technique and actually make it work. So we're going to go through step by step. Now the defensive drill which I'm talking about is head movement as we move forward or backward. So what I mean by that is if I move to step in with jab, cross, hook, but every time I do it I get hit in the head because maybe I have shorter arms, I initiate a head drop on my first punch and then I straighten back up and follow with my combo. And by the same token, I can back up with head movement. So if somebody's being offensive, I get my head off the center line so that I can land my shot, and then from there I can exit safely. Now why is this technique basically what I'm saying, like the king of defense? Well, being able to block is super important, no doubt. But the better way to block is to not be there. Now you might argue, well, why not just step back? But if you step back every time, eventually it's going to be like you're kind of running. And if you're always running away, your offensive opponent, who's going to just keep moving and moving and moving on you, is going to win the fight just based on that offense. So we need to be able to have our own forwards movement while keeping our head safe and out of that punch range. People always aim right for the forehead. If you move in and drop your head slightly, then you're going to be that much safer. So to break down the technique, if our hands are up and we imagine a straight punch is coming at our head, we very simply drop our head slightly to the side. The further I go beyond this point, the more I put myself in danger of getting hit in the head with a kick, or maybe somebody locking me up in the clinch, and because my structure through the back is already so low, they can collapse me down very easy. So we do not want to drop our weight too low. It's basically, if the punch is going to hit me here, I move my head the least amount possible so the shot can just breeze by and maybe even clip my ear. And keep in mind that this technique is not very simply sideways or forwards, it's in between the two of them. I drop 45-degree angle so that when I throw my punch, I can actually go further than I normally do. I drop forward, see that extra distance I get? So if I move in, I can gain more power on my shot while still being defensive. Now offensively, it's best to remember that this works really well when I step with my feet. I step forward. So if I'm out of range and I push off my back foot, step with my front foot, have my head off the center line, I've now done a great job of closing that distance while keeping myself safe. If I want to back up, I push and drop my head at the same time. Remember on this technique that it works both sides. I can go cross, drop to my left, or jab, drop to my right. I'm always dropping my head the opposite direction of the arm I'm punching with. Let's talk about a couple common mistakes that I see people make in this, and then we'll actually drill it together. I'll get you guys up and you can follow along, and we'll just make sure in 2 or 3 minutes that you're feeling fairly sound in this technique. So the first thing when I move my head off the center line that a lot of people forget about is they go, okay, I'm here, I move my head, everything's good, but they forget about this other hand. Keep the other hand locked to your head because, as we already mentioned, you have a bit of vulnerability on this side because you are dropping your head potentially into a technique. But if I keep this hand locked here, then there's no concern. I don't have to worry about my head being compromised at any point. The next common mistake that I notice people make is they forget about tucking their chin. Yes, we're moving forward. And yes, we're getting our head off the center line, but that doesn't mean I should have my head up here. I don't want to move in like that and try and drop my head. I want to bury my chin to my chest. So keep that in mind as well. And the last thing I want to point out is my feet. What are my legs doing? The distance between them. Because very often I see people start with their feet maybe 18 inches apart, and then they push forward, they do this, and then all of a sudden their feet are like a meter apart. We want to make sure as we shift our feet and we move our head off the center line, we're still finishing in the same spot that we started. So now when I go to throw the rest of my combo, I'm in that strong stance. And before we get to the actual drilling, I just want to take a moment and give a shout out to XMARTIAL, who are responsible for all the apparel I'm wearing today. This company has some fantastic gear. This Muay Thai shirt tied into Evolution is just really fun. And these shorts, I actually love the make of them. And the samurai on the side, I always think is super cool. So if you guys are like me and you like to collect all sorts of fight apparel, head over to xmartial.com. Use the promo code Gabriel Varga to get yourself 10% off. These guys have so much gear, apparel, and training equipment on their website. Give it a look. I think you will find something which really excites you. And now let's move into a little bit of drilling, where we're going to just focus on getting that head off the center line and being explosive. And the first thing that we should be working on is just the ability to move forward while jabbing and then follow with the combo. I want you guys to start from your fighting stance. We're going to push forward, take that step, head off the center line, then we're going to follow with cross, hook, cross. Move back to the outside, step in 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Remember, the right hand stays tight to the head as you drop. You'll also make sure that you're going to have your chin tucked and make sure your stance stays the same length once you take that step forward. You're not elongating it too much. Let's do 10 counts. Moving forward, we'll go 1 basic combo, 1 intermediate level combo, and then 1 advanced situation. 10 counts. Ready? All right, from here we're going to work backing up. This is an intermediate situation now because backing up is always more difficult than moving forward. We need to make sure our backwards motion is just step, step, but at the same time we get our head down and we throw a punch. We're going to utilize the jab as the shot where they're throwing, they're attacking, they miss, and then we plant and we come back with a big cross. One more time, slow, back, and then across with our head nice and high. I'll do one where I'm facing towards you. I step backwards and then plant and throw my cross. 10 counts. Ready? All right, our final drill for today is going to be a little bit longer. We're just going to do 5 counts on it because it's going to be a whole longer combination. When we step forward sometimes and we get our head off the center line, we're not obligated to move our back foot with our front. Now we're going to do this specifically because we know we're going to push out. So we're going to step forward with our head off the center line with the jab. From there, in this elongated stance, we're going to cross, but then we're going to push back out. Again, step forward, head off the center line, big cross, step out. From there, we're going to step in and move both feet this time with cross. The backhand is going to lead. My head comes off the center line again, and then from there, upper cross on that. All right, same thing with me facing towards you. I step forward, head off the center line. I follow with the cross. From there, I back up. I go, okay, he's still there, but instead of entering with my jab, moving my head to the right, I step double with both feet. I cross, head off the center line, upper, cross, and then I back out. One more time, jab, cross, back out, double move in, cross, upper, cross, move out. We're gonna do this 5 times. Ready, ready. The big thing for you guys to keep in mind is this, to me, being an ultimate defensive move is something that you have to drill and drill and drill until it becomes almost a muscle memory thing. You will not pull this off if you have to actively think about it every time you become offensive. So in shadow boxing, bag work, pad work, whenever you enter, drop the head just that tiny bit at the first punch of each combo. Once I've moved in and I've covered that distance, then I can go back to my regular combo with my head high. And if I want to roll or do something like that, that's separate. But when you can get down this idea that every time you move in, your head's off the center line, like I said at the beginning, ultimate defensive move, because you've moved your head before anything really happens. You're putting yourself in safety in anticipation of somebody hitting you, because if every time we enter like this, eventually we're going to walk into a shot and there's just not much we can do about it. In addition, if you can get that idea, that motion down, that when you back up and somebody's being super offensive against you, if you back up and drop your head off the center line that little bit, it's that much more likely that they're going to miss, and that you will be in the safety position where you can land your shot as you back up without taking any impact yourself. Remember, everybody has their own style, their own form of defense, what they think is the ultimate form of defense. For me, I love being in the shell here. I love being here and being safe behind these cushy big gloves. But I do recognize that it is not the best defensive move, that it's better to not be there. That to me is something that is superior, even though I don't use it as frequently as I do the high double guard. But if anybody on my channel out there can get this down and it becomes something which keeps them safe as they enter, I am very happy, and I have used this drill so many times that I know it can be very effective, and it will definitely make you a better fighter. If you guys enjoyed the video, you enjoyed the tutorial, please give the video a like. If you haven't already, join the channel, get subscribed. We have passed the 100,000 mark. I am so excited about that, and I appreciate everybody out there who supports the channel. Be sure to go and check out XMARTIAL, check out some of the awesome apparel they have, and thanks to them for sponsoring the video. As always, guys, train hard, and I'll see you back here soon for another video.